39. Connor. There are places you could go, Ariana told him, and a guy as smart as you has a decent chance of surviving to 18. He's back at the freeway overpass, on the ledge behind the exit sign. It was once his favorite escape spot slash makeout spot slash danger spot. This time, it feels like none of those things, and this time, he's alone. He has been to many of the places Ariana had referred to. None of them were as safe as he'd wished they'd be. He did survive to 18, though. That should be enough. But it's not. Twilight gives way to night as he nests there, on the overpass gathering fortitude. Ariana, a girl he thought he loved before he actually knew before he actually knew what love was, had promised to go with him when he kicked AWOL. But when he showed up at her door in the middle of the night, she wouldn't even step over the threshold. It was as if there was an invisible barrier between them that could not be breached. She was remorseful, but more than that, she seemed relieved to be on the other side of that door, still welcome in her own home. It made it painfully clear how truly alone he was. Connor was angry at her that night, and he held on to that anger for a long time. Now, however, he's more angry at himself. Wanting her to join him in this seedy fugitive life was pure selfishness. If he truly cared for her, he would have protected her from it, rather than pull her into it. So much has changed since then. Connor remembers hearing somewhere that it takes 7 years for one's body to purge itself of all its biological matter and replace it. Every 7 years, everyone is literally a new person. For Connor, he couldn't be more different after 2 years. It's as if he's been unwound and put back together again. Will his parents recognize the change? Will they care? Perhaps they'll see a stranger at their door, or maybe they'll be strangers to him. And then there's his brother, Lucas. Connor can't help but imagine at him as the same 13-year-old he was. He won't be. What must it be like to be the younger brother of the notorious Akron AWOL? Lucas must despise him. The journey here began well enough. Sonia didn't offer him her car, of course. They both knew that he had to leave no ties to the antique shop in case he got caught. Instead, he stole a car that had small dunes of runoff mud wedged beneath the tires, a clear indication that it hadn't been moved for a while and wouldn't be immediately missed. He could probably bring it back, park it in the same place, and the owners wouldn't even know it was gone. The drive from Akron to Columbus took less than 2 hours. That was the easy part. But actually going to his old front door, that was a different story. The reconnaissance ride through the neighborhood earlier that afternoon was the first indication of how difficult this would be. Memories of his pre-AWOL life kept leaping out so vividly. He sometimes swerved the car as if they were actual obstacles in his path, just as he did when he retrieved the stem cells with Risa and Bo. What a waste that whole excursion will have been if they can't fix the printer. He can tell himself his reason for going home is to enlist his father's help in repairing it, but Risa was right. It's just an excuse. Still, if they had the change of heart he dreams they've had, it wouldn't be out of the question. When he drove through his neighborhood today, it looked remarkably the same. Somehow, in his mind's eye, Connor imagined it would look vaguely post-apocalyptic, overgrown, unwatered, and indefinitely forlorn, as if somehow the entire suburb suffered without him. But no, the lawns and the hedges were all trimmed to good neighbor standards. He considered driving down Ariana Street, but decided against it. Some parts of his past need to stay exactly where they are. When he finally turned onto his street, he had to keep both hands firmly on the wheel to keep them from shaking. Home sweet home. It looked perfectly inviting on the outside, even if the invitation was false. For a moment, it crossed his mind that his family might have moved, until he saw the Lassiter 1 license plate on the shiny new Nissan Coupe in their driveway. His brothers? No. Lucas would be 15 now, still too young to have a license. Perhaps one of his parents downsized from a sedan, having one less son to take up space. A window was open upstairs, and Connor could hear the riffs of an electric guitar. Only then did he remember that his brother was begging for one around the time their parents signed Connor's unwind order. The music bears none of the acoustic skills of Cam Comprix. It's reclusely dissonant, just the kind of thing that would irritate their father. Good for Lucas. Connor had driven by twice, scouring the street for hidden officers in unmarked cars, and found none. No one would still be on the lookout for him here, now that the juvenile authority is convinced that the Hopi are giving Connor political asylum halfway across the country. He could easily have made his appearance then. There was no good reason to delay it, but he made this detour anyway, as a stalling tactic. He needed to weigh Reese's dire warnings about going home. He needed to search his own heart to know if he really needs to risk this. So he went to the ledge like he had done so many times before, when he needed to think. The ledge is cramped and crisscrossed with the webs of obvious spiders who have no concept of a world larger than this overpass. Funny, but all the time he spent here brooding over how unfair his life was, in the days before it actually became unfair. Connor never knew what the sign actually read on the other side. He found out that day he drove past it with Risa and Bo. This lane must exit. Thinking about it makes him laugh, although he can't say exactly why. It's dark out now. It's been dark for a while. If he's going to do this, he can't wait much longer. He wonders if they'll invite him in, and if they do, will he accept? He knows he has to keep the visit short just in case they secretly call the police. He'll have to watch them, keep them both in sight, and the whole time he's there, that is, if he goes in at all. He's still not beyond aborting the whole thing last minute. Finally, he pulls himself over the railing, leaving the ledge behind, and returns to the car, which he parked nearby. He takes his time starting it. He takes his time driving it to his street. It's so unlike him to do anything slowly, but this act of return, it has such inertia. It's like pushing a boulder uphill. He can only hope that it doesn't roll back to crush him. Some lights are on in the house. The living room lights downstairs, and in Lucas's room upstairs. The light is off in the room that had been his. He wonders, what is it now? A sewing room? No, that's stupid. His mother didn't sew. Maybe just storage for all the junk that accumulates in the house, or maybe they left it like it was. Is there actually a part of him that hopes that? He knows that's even less likely than a sewing room. He passes the house, parks down the street, and pulls the 4 pages of his letter out of his pocket. He read it several times while on the ledge to prepare himself for this moment. It didn't. He walks past the driveway and turns down the little flagstone path to the front door. Anticipation speeds his heart and makes it feel as if it's rising in his chest, trying to escape. Maybe he'll just hand them the letter and leave. Or maybe he'll talk to them. He doesn't know yet. It's the not knowing that makes it so hard. Not knowing what they'll do, but even worse, having no clue what he's going to do either. But whatever happens, good or bad, it will bring closure. He knows it will. He's halfway to the front door when a figure steps out of the shadows of the porch and stands directly in his path. Then, suddenly, there's a sharp stinging in Connor's chest. He's down on the ground before he realizes that he's been shot with a tranq, and his vision goes blurry, so he can't even tell who his attacker is as he draws near. For a moment, something about his face makes him think of Argent Skinner, but it's not Argent, not by a long shot. How unceremonious, the man says. This moment should be grander. And Rollins' fist, which holds the pages of the letter so tightly, relaxes. letting the pages fall free as Connor plunges into the chemical void. 40. Mom. Claire Lassiter takes a moment from her exhausting task of maintaining appearances. She thought she heard something out front, and it's giving her an odd sense of prescient anticipation, although she doesn't know why. It's nothing new. She jumps every time a pine cone falls on the roof or a squirrel scuttles over the grain gutters. She's been so edgy for so long. She can't even remember the last time she felt calm. She definitely needs a vacation, they all do. But they won't take one. There are tickets for a vacation they never took in a drawer upstairs somewhere. They ought to just throw them away, but they don't. Funny how their lives have become all about inactivity. A sound outside. Yes, there's definitely something happening on their front lawn. She strides to the door and opens it, expecting to see perhaps some of Lucas's friends, or a dog that got off its leash, or maybe nothing at all. There is no one there and nothing to see but some litter blowing across the lawn. She lingers for a moment, daring the night to offer her something better, and when it doesn't, she gets anxious, as if standing there is somehow tempting fate. So she closes the door once more. "What is it?" her husband asks. "Was someone at the door?" "No," she tells him. "I thought I heard something. Probably just another pine cone rolling off the roof." Meanwhile, in their front yard, several pieces of paper are taken by the breeze to be victimized by shrubs and sprinklers and tires until nothing remains but illegible pulp, never to be read by anyone, ripe only for the bedding of birds' nests and the harsh spinning whisk of tomorrow's morning street sweeper. I'll read that.